Uh, whether it's up today is difficult to tell, but it's up, yes. The way that I put it is their premiership is finished, even if it hasn't stopped. It's hard to see it's impossible to see a fight in the next general election, and so all you're doing is working back from that. Um, Yesterday, I was sort of inclined. We even discussed this, didn't we, Matt, on Tuesday in Finkelwich, whether or not inertia would be a strong enough force to save her. And at that point, I think there was something behind that, but the events of yesterday mean that living with inertia means living with chaos. And I think that is, now that you've lost your Home Secretary as well as your Chancellor, and you're no longer able to tell ministers effectively whether or not something's a confidence vote, you really can't remain as Prime Minister.
Adam, what are you hearing? What's your reading of this as we all stare at a picture of the door to Downing Street?
Well, you might sympathise as fellow columnists. I've just been trying to write a column, What Happens Next? And it's all been happening while I've been writing it. You can barely keep up. I mean, look, I just think if you look from the view from the gutter in Downing Street, if you like, what political reporters see at these moments of great crisis, the fact of the matter is that Sir Graham Brady is the Grim Reaper when it comes to the careers of Conservative leaders, and he's in there. So, if we look at the choreography, the next thing we'd expect, rain permitting, is the lectern in the street and an announcement of resignation. It just looks like it's got that far. And I think I agree entirely with what Lord Finkelstein was saying. In fact, I've been thinking that maybe the Conservatives would struggle on because they couldn't think of another leader. But I think the events of yesterday just underline that Liz Truss personally seems to have managed to alienate or lose the confidence of every single wing of her party. And in that circumstance, it's very difficult to see how they can carry on. Although, of course, it does raise the prospect of a rather bloody dust up between the various factions of the Conservative Party now on choosing the next leader. I don't think, what's been holding them back is that an orderly transition doesn't look possible. And the moves by Suella Braverman yesterday certainly underline that.
I mean, look, that many of the great sort of political crises or exciting moments in policy have been prompted by, have been accompanied by Adam standing there reporting on it, and so I think you'd probably agree that these, even by the standards of us, are pretty extraordinary. And the problem before for the Tory party was how chaotic and ridiculous would it look if we changed our leader, but yesterday the issue became how chaotic and ridiculous would it look if we do not change our leader, and that I think is the decisive difference. I'm holding back only because I don't absolutely know, whether Sir Graham Brady is telling her it's nearly up or it's up. There'll definitely be a meeting in which he tells her that it's up. It's just a question of whether it's this one or not. She probably ought to get ahead of this now and decide for herself that it's up. She's shrewd enough politically, surely, to be able to see that.
Well, against that, you can always say Liz Truss is pretty unpredictable. And she could actually say, OK, you say I've lost the confidence of the party, hold a confidence vote and try and face it down, which I don't think would be good for the party. But in the end, it comes down to the particular individual as Prime Minister.
We've seen Jake Berry, the Conservative Party chairman, go through the front door of Downing Street, I think. I spoke to him earlier in the week and he said he would only worry about the polls when we got to an election in 2 years' time. Now there's speculation about the exact machinations of, well, if the party rules need to be changed, the party board would have to be involved, therefore Jake Berry needs to get involved. The truth is that all those, you can talk about rules as much as you like, can't you, Danny? But what's political momentum picks up? The forces of political gravity are you just can't defy them, no matter what rules might say.
No, and I'm always really worried about starting to discuss the Conservative Party's machinations and its rules, and where it leaves the Conservative Party and what will happen in an election, and leaving the country out of it. It's very tempting, particularly if you're got a history like me of being a Conservative strategist. But this is outrageous for the people of the country, right? For which the Conservative government, that's the only purpose of being a Conservative or being in power in any way. And the Prime Minister can't serve the people because she hasn't got a parliamentary majority anymore of people who have any confidence in her. So the Conservative Party makes a decision one moment that it can't sustain for a few minutes. And the Conservative Party's got to change that situation, or it has to get out of power, actually. And it won't want to do that. So it has to change its leader. It has to hurry up in the interest of the country. And really, my view is I think the Conservative Party's electoral position is probably irrecoverable, but that shouldn't be on the front. That's not the first thing to think about.
Yeah, I mean, seeing that Jess Phillips, a Labour MP, has put out a tweet saying it's a tragedy that people like Sir Graham Brady and Sue Gray have become public figures. We really should know about them. And I would entirely agree that, in the end, you can go on about the constitution of the Conservative Party. You can go on about these various votes and mechanisms. But the truth is, exactly as Danny's just said, if a leader cannot command the confidence of the party, or potentially even in key votes can't command it, then they're going to have to go, and they will go.